We are live for another episode of the Couch Warrior podcast. As always, I'm your host, Mike, and today we're going to be breaking down UFC 325. We had UFC 324 last week. I'll go over the recap real quick for that card, and then we'll go on to this week, and we have a lot of fights to talk about. I believe it's 14 fights, counting the road to UFC, and I really like the road to UFC fights, so I'm looking forward to those. Make sure you guys hop in the chat with me. Let me know how your week last week went. Let me know what you're thinking about this week, what bets you like, what you don't like. Agree with me, disagree with me. Always way more fun with you guys in the chat, so make sure to hop in and leave a comment. If you're liking, please watch, please subscribe, comment, like, retweet. If you're watching on Twitter, comment on there, follow me on Twitter. All of that really helps. And yeah, let's jump right into it. We'll do a quick recap, and then we'll do the breakdown for this upcoming week. So I had only two money lines, and they both hit. I wish they were the only bets I made. I had Alex Perez money line plus 170 for 1 unit. That came in clutch. Did not expect him to get a knockout that early. I did think he could finish. I just didn't really think it would look like that, and I didn't think it was super likely. So that felt good. And then I had Krylov in what was a very, very stressful fight, but I'm glad that we avoided the scorecards. I didn't end up looking them up. I think I heard that Krylov was up on them, but I didn't really want to find out. So I'm glad that he got that finish in, I think it was like the last second or last few seconds. And then the only other thing I hit was O'Malley round 3 decision. That was minus 110. I won that for 1 unit. So 4 units profit there. But then I lost 1 unit on the Acosta Lewis under 1.5. First time in a while I bet a 1.5. And of course that loses. That's why I hate those. I had Silva round 3, very small. That didn't cash, but at least he did a cool surfing trick. My big mistake was Nurmagomedov ITD. I had just the sub at first for a half unit at plus 210. And then I saw the weigh-ins and I was like, all right, Umar needs to make a statement already. And Figgy's literally crying at weigh-ins. So let me add on to the ITD. And what happens? Umar doesn't have any finishing desire whatsoever, doesn't finish Figgy, and here we are. So I lost there 1.5 units. And then I also lost on the Hokit Freeman over 2.5. Two bad reads there in that, I didn't really expect Hokit to be that comfortable on the feet, I guess, where he was just chasing Freeman around. And I also didn't think Freeman would just have cardio death in less than 5 minutes. So that sucked. We got my guy, Big Steve, in the chat. It's been a while since I've seen you around, Stevie. That's why you're missing the eyebrows. What's up, JB? Good to see you, my brother. Listen to JB. Make sure you like if you're watching. Yeah, I know a lot of us fell for the whole Umar ITD, but never again. Never again. I don't care who he's fighting. Give him Weston Wilson. I'm not betting ITD. But let's pull up these fights and let's jump into it. Oh, yeah. So total profit ended up being 0.35 units. I'm glad to start off green. It would have been nice for it to be a little bit more of an effective green, but I'll take it. I'll take it over a loss. That's for sure. All right. Pulling it up now. Okay. All right, we're starting off with pretty much one of the best fights on the card, at least one of the most exciting fights on the card, I think, that will play out exciting. We have Namsrai Batbayar versus Aaron Tao. Aaron Tao. Batbayar 9-1-0. He's 25 years old, 5'6" with a 68-inch reach. On the other side, we got Tao. He's 11-1-0. He's 32. He's 7 years older, going to be 2 inches shorter, and he's got a 2-inch reach disadvantage. So first time we saw Tao was on the Contender Series against Elijah Smith. I think I even had him for a little bit there, maybe by knockout. He had a good third round when Smith kind of slowed down, but that was a mix of Smith getting a little tired and Smith, I think, also feeling comfortable that he banked the first 2 rounds. Tao's not the most skilled. Like he's looked better in these last 2 fights, like the Rio Tirto fight and the Shuai Yin fight. This one was kind of just a war. Like he got better in that he's got a little bit more of a process now. And like his striking is definitely better than Batbayar. Like out of the 2 of them, the better striker is Tao for sure, in my opinion. I think he just puts together combinations better. I think that his output is better. And I do think he has more weapons. I like the teep kicks up the middle. I like the body kicks in general. I like that he's throwing kicks. Batbayar will throw kicks, but like they're not super effective. And his striking's not bad. It's not like horrendous. Like he's got a decent jab and like he'll put together some combinations, but it's mostly just big overhands and big wild shots and big hooks. So I'm not crazy about his striking. And like over a prolonged period of time, I do like Tao striking more. The thing is, I don't know if, first of all, if the fight's going to get extended, because I think they're going to crash into each other. That's just how they both fight. Batbayar brings it immediately every single time, and so does Tao. And I think that Tao doesn't really have the defense for it to matter that Batbayar is not the best striker, because those big winging shots, they're probably going to land. And Tao's durable, sure, but he takes a lot of damage, and I'm not sure just how well he's going to take the damage from Batbayar. So early on, I think that even though Tao's the better striker, it won't matter much. And I think that Batbayar will have his moments and will possibly be able to finish him too. And I do think early on that the grappling of Batbayar will probably be pretty effective. Like, I have a hard time getting a proper read on his grappling. It does seem pretty good. Like, he took in his fight with Toomey that he lost the first round to Mendembro. That first round, he took him down easy. He controlled him easy. And then he kind of got tired and kind of gave up, honestly. So the cardio is a concern I'll talk about. But it was pretty impressive how he did that to Toomey. But at the same time, Toomey has no grappling either. So I don't know what to make of it. And then on the Contender Series, like, he grappled to an extent, but not really. Like, he was mostly just brawling. And then in this fight where he was a pretty big underdog, everybody was really high on this guy, Agulawi. Like, he clipped, it was close at first. Agulawi was clearly the more technical guy, but Batbayar was just landing harder. And then he hurt him, ended up on top, and ultimately was able to get him out of there. I don't know. It's hard for me to get a proper read on just how good Batbayar's wrestling is and his grappling. I do lean towards it being pretty good, and I do like that he's only 25 years old, and I do think he's going to continue to improve. And Tao at 32, I'm pretty certain he's just about a finished product, and I don't think he has the best takedown defense. I don't think it's horrible either, but I don't think it's the greatest, and I don't think he's the greatest on the ground, like, once he's taken down. So I think early on, it's probably going to be mostly Batbayar. I think if you're going to get involved on Tao, you either get in live or you take like late props. And I am considering the late props. Like, if I did bet on this fight, it'll either be Batbayar money line if I can get it closer to dog money, because I don't want to lay chalk on a guy like him, or something like a Tao late knockout, like a round 3, something like that could be interesting depending on the prices. We're going to have to wait and see. But in terms of a pick, I'll go Batbayar. But the thing I wanted to mention, and the reason I kind of like Tao round 3, is the cardio. Like, I'm not really sold Batbayar has much cardio. He's been to the third round one time, and even that one, like, and then he got the sub in the third round, whatever. It was earlier on in his career, but that was pretty much it. And then when he made it to the second round against Tumen Dembro, that's when he fell apart. That's when he ended up getting submitted. And in his more recent fights, like this one, I believe ended in the first round, and this one, I think it was the second. But like, we didn't really see him extended. We didn't really see him tested. And a guy like Tao, if Batbayar doesn't get Tao out of there early, Tao will test his cardio. He will not stop. He is a brawler. He is very tough. He does not quit. He's not the most skilled, but being a dog and being a guy who just won't quit on himself, that's going to win you a lot of fights. So competitive fight, fair arguments to be made for both sides. I'm going to lean Batbayar early, but if he doesn't get him out in there early, I think Tao will take over. So either way should be a fun fight. Next up, we have my guy, Sulangrangbo versus Lawrence Lui. Sulan, he's 10-3-0. He's 20 years old, 5'9" with a 66.5-inch reach. And he is training with Sumaderji. I believe they're related, but I don't know for sure. Lawrence Lui, 7-1-0. He's 29 years old. He's going to be 9 years older, but he's not an old man. Sulan is just really young. 5'7", so he's 2 inches shorter, and he's going to have a 6-inch reach advantage. Real quick, I do want to catch up with my guy AJ's in the chat. What's up, my brother? Thank you, O'Malley and Gaethje, for saving. Gaethje's performance was sick. Might have to go Tao. He's a nasty dude. A plus money too. Yeah, I mean, Batbayar's tape isn't the most impressive, but I do think he's gonna have a lot of success early. Why am I blurry? Hold up, I want to fix that because I hate that. Okay. I think I'm back. If you guys see me blurry again, let me know. I don't like that. But anyways, back to this fight. So I'm not the best at calling prospects early when they make it to the UFC. Generally not. I did say that Natalia Silva was a prospect going into her fight against Jasmine, and that worked out for the most part. Even though her Rose fight, I didn't expect it to look like that, honestly. So I might have been wrong to an extent, but other than that, all my calls have been terrible. I called Sulan on his first road to UFC fight. I bet on him there. I believe I backed him against Sim Kai too. And I'm really high on this guy. I don't know if he's going to win this fight. I think he's going to. I lean towards him doing it. I think that the line seems a little insane, but like, it also makes sense to me. And obviously I'll explain why. But I just think this guy's the goods. I think Sulan is really, really good. Lawrence isn't bad either. He's solid all-around guy. Like his striking's not bad. He just seems a little bit stiff. He's got a good jab, good 1-2. The shots are nice and straight for the most part. The kicks are pretty good. He's relatively solid in the clinch, and he's a good grappler. He's a solid grappler. His wrestling's pretty good. The control's okay. He's not the most dangerous guy on the mat. He's not really submitting a lot of guys. He's not throwing crazy ground and pound, but he's a solid grappler. He's definitely not bad. And if he's going to win this fight, he does need to grapple. Sulan's takedown defense still relatively untested, but a big thing for me is like, do I think that Lui is that much better of a wrestler than Sim Kai? Because Sim Kai is also a grappler. And it's like, not really. And so far from Sulan, at least in the recent tape from what I've seen, his takedown defense does look really nice. And he is doing all of the right things. And he is stuffing literally 100% of the takedowns. I think Sim Kai shot, 7 of them, I think it was, and didn't get a single one. He's fighting the hands. The hips are good. The underhooks are there. Good awareness. So I really like what I see from him in the takedown defense department. So I don't really see Lui getting a lot of takedowns. And when he does get them, I don't think he's going to get the control time a lot. What is happening? So I just don't think he's going to do enough with the grappling. And then on the feet, I just think Sulan is much, much better than him. I think that he's a much faster striker. He's a lot more accurate. He's got a lot more power. He's really, really sharp with his counters. He's really dangerous in the pocket. He's got really nice combinations. I really, really like this guy. So I'm going to be picking Sulan. Maybe I'm biased just because I'm a fan of his. But I think at 20 years old, like he's got a really, really high ceiling. And I am going to go with KO, maybe round 2. I think there's a few ways to play this, but I wouldn't play the money line. I don't think that's worth it at this point at minus 275. I think that's a little too much. And I can't blame anybody for taking a Lui underdog shot when he does clearly have a grappling path. And he's not a bad striker by any means. I don't think he's as good as Sulan. And I don't think he has the same, hardware, I guess is the best word for it. I don't think he has the same hardware. So for me, it's Sulan, and we can move on. Another really sick fight. We got Sebastian Szalay versus Keiichiro Nakamura. Sebastian, he's 10-1-0, 31 years old. He's going to be 5'6" with a 66-inch reach. Nakamura on the other side, 7-1-0. He's 27. He's 5 years younger. He's going to be 2 inches taller, and he's going to have a 4-inch reach advantage. So for me, this is probably the hardest one for me to call out of the road to UFC fights. I really don't know. I'm not super confident one way or the other. I think that both guys are really talented. I like both guys a lot. I think that Nakamura probably has more of a ceiling considering he's 27 years old and he just has more of the physical attributes. He's very big. He's very tall for the division. The 5'8" is BS. I think he's closer to 5'11", maybe even taller, like 6 feet. He's not, I don't think he's 5'8". Like the dude is really tall. So I think he's going to have the size. I think he's more athletic out of the two of them. I think he pretty clearly hits harder out of the two of them. And I think he's a sharper striker out of the two of them too. But I also really like Sebastian's style because he's just one of those guys who he's not super flashy. He's mostly meat and potatoes, but he uses it in a really, really effective way where he's always backing you up. He's always throwing a ton of volume. He rips to the body. And you guys know I'm a sucker for guys who rip to the body. And he goes to it a lot. And he'll go downstairs and upstairs. He mixes into his combinations really nicely. You see a lot of good combos from him. And I just really like the work he does. I like the pressure he puts on people. I like his cardio. I think his takedown defense is solid. Not that it's going to matter. If anyone shoots here, it's probably going to be Sebastian. I don't think his wrestling's all that good. And I think Nakamura, like his takedown defense isn't great. Like Lee Kai-Wen, he's not a grappler at all. He's a striker. And he took Nakamura down 3 times, but he didn't really do anything with it. And I think part of it is just because it was such a volatile fight. So I do think that Sebastian could maybe land some takedowns, but I don't think that it's going to be a tremendous part of his game. And I think that if he does get the takedowns, I don't really see him doing a ton with it. There's a possibility that Nakamura ends up being a fish off his back, but at least against Lee Kai-Wen, like he did a pretty good job getting right back up after he did get taken down. And then on the feet, like, again, I like Sebastian's process. I like his output a lot, and I really like the body work. But I do feel like Nakamura has more weapons. Like I think he has more in terms of kicks. I like the knees up the middle. I think he's a little bit more dangerous in the clinch. He's definitely more dangerous overall. I really like his combinations. He sets up his angles really nice. I think he's faster out of the two guys too. So both guys really have advantages. And I think a big question of mine would have been Nakamura's cardio, if not for his last fight. But his last fight, like his cardio seemed pretty good to me. I mean, they were throwing the entire time. He ended up landing, I think, close to 90 significant strikes, and like he seemed okay. He didn't seem super gassed. So I think the cardio is solid, but I do wonder if the cardio is going to be a problem if Sebastian's ripping to his body the whole time, which I expect he's going to. And if grappling is also mixed in and his body's getting worked, I do have my concerns. And my other concern with Nakamura is in the pocket. I think when they're in the pocket, like Nakamura is also pretty good, but because he's so tall, that chin is just upstairs. And Sebastian with the shorter arms, I think he's just going to be more effective in the pocket. And I think he's more comfortable there. And he can 100% just go body, and then go upstairs to the head. And I do think he can clip Nakamura in the pocket. So I think I lean towards Sebastian ever so slightly by decision. But I can't fault anyone for a Nakamura play. He's plus money. He's the more athletic guy. He hits harder. He's got the finishing upside out of the two of them more than likely. He's not fighting at home. That goes to Sebastian, so that's good for him. But I do think right now it's probably dog or pass. If I was to get involved on Sebastian, I would probably want, like, I don't know, maybe pick him. But even then, I'd be hesitant. I would have liked plus money. I think plus money on either guy is fine. But for me, I'm just going to lean Sebastian ever so slightly. I'm going to retape this fight. I taped this one pretty in-depth, like very in-depth. But I want to come back to it because I don't feel like I got the best read in the world. What's up, my guy? Should we expect both fighters, winners and losers, to make it to the UFC? What's happened in the past? I think Nakamura might lose, but is still UFC level. They usually make them go back to road to UFC, I think. For road to UFC guys, I don't think we often see them coming back with a actual fight, like a short notice call-up or something. I think normally we see them go back to road to UFC, like Yizha, for example. Zhurong, he went to the UFC first, got cut, and then had to go to road to UFC. Shin Haraguchi's another one. Oh boy, I'm sure there's a bunch. Yeah, I think they pretty much always have to go back. So unfortunately, I think that's probably what'll happen. And since Nakamura is only 27, I don't think they're going to be too worried. But I would like for them to sign both. I think both of these guys are good prospects. What is my guy AJ saying? I like Sebastian. He's a really well-rounded prospect. The link looks all right to me. The link? Oh, the line probably. Yeah. I mean, I think it's fair. I just don't think there's any value there. That's good drinking note. Thanks. My favorite name on YouTube. All right. Let's move on to our last road to UFC final. We got Damar Phan versus Sang-Uk Kim. Phan, he's going to be 8-2-0, 25 years old, 5'11" with a 75-inch reach. Kim on the other side, 13-3-0. He's going to be 32. He's 7 years older. He's going to be 1 inch taller, and he's going to have a 4-inch reach disadvantage. So it's Frogman season, baby. Let's go. I love this guy. I really like him. I think he's an absolute dog. I think he's really fun. I think that he isn't the most skilled guy in the world, but neither is Phan. And Kim just brings it every single time, and he does get better, and he has improved a lot. If you look at his early tape, the guy couldn't strike, and now he's actually a pretty good striker. And one of the reasons I like him in this fight is I think he's the better striker. You look at Damar Phan, and there are things to like about him. He's a dog himself. He does not quit. He brings the he doesn't quit, but I did think he kind of fell apart against Salkilld. I know Salkilld is really high level, but like I do think he can fall apart a little bit. But he's a dog is what I mean. He fights hard. Definitely does. You can't take that from him. He's got good cardio. He's a solid wrestler. He's a very good grappler once he's on the ground. And his striking's okay, but I just think he's being overpriced now. He was literally like plus 700 against this fella in his first road to UFC fight, Yannick. And now you got him a favorite against a guy who's a very similar fighter. They're very similar guys, and they have very similar skill sets. But you have Damar Phan at like minus 180, minus 175, and it doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Because on the feet, like he doesn't throw much. He really doesn't throw much. He has like a few weapons, like maybe a jab, a few straight strikes, but not really any combinations. And like the kicks are okay, but they're nothing special. He is good in the clinch. I do like him in the clinch. I think he has good clinch knees and good clinch elbows, but like he's so hittable. He can also be taken down. Like his takedown defense isn't the best. And even when he's on top, like he can be out scrambled. He can lose position. That happened to him a lot in I believe it was this fight, the Park fight. he does not have the best control, and he does not have the best takedown defense. So like, even though he's a good grappler, he could also be out grappled in his own right. And like, I don't love his entries either. And it's mostly, most of his takedowns are upper body lock trips. Almost all of them. Like almost every single one is an upper body lock trip. And Kim will do that too. But I think Kim just has more of like a variety of takedowns. He'll go double, single also. He doesn't need to necessarily do an upper body trip. So I like that about him. I think that him being bigger and more physical, I think that is going to make a difference in this fight, where I think there's going to be a lot of clinching and there's going to be a lot of grappling. I think that's going to make a big difference. I think in the clinch, even though I do like Fan's knees and elbows a little bit more, just the way he does them, Kim will also throw knees. And I think just in the clinch physically, he's going to be the stronger guy. He's going to be able to control for longer periods of time. And again, I think that strength is going to matter in the scrambles too, because I do think they're going to scramble a lot. I think they are going to take each other down. I think Kim's takedown defense overall is better out of the two of them. And I do think he has a better ability to get back up to his feet. So because of that, like, I think he has more of an ability to control the fight. I think he's got more of an ability to win in the clinch. He's the bigger guy. I think he's the better striker. He's also pretty hittable in his own right. Like, he's definitely not some defensive mastermind. He's quite hittable. But I just don't think he has as much firepower coming back his way. And like, he went 3 rounds with Zhurong, and he was getting his butt beat for a while, for a good portion of that fight. And he survived, and he was fighting back the entire time. He was never fully out of it. He was always trying. And after that, he improved, he came back, and he's been looking a lot better. His striking's been looking a lot better. In his last fight, I believe it was his last fight, he got ripped to the body, and he didn't react very well. So I do have a little bit of a concern there. Maybe Fan, I think, in the clinch, if he goes to the body with the body knees, that would be very smart of him. And maybe he can hurt Kim that way. But for the most part, I don't think Fan's going to be the guy to take advantage of any weaknesses to the body that Kim has. So for me, I like Kim. I like the Frogman. I think he's going to get it done. I think it's probably a decision, but I would not count him out for a finish. I think he can submit Dalmar Fan, maybe with a rear naked like Quillan Salkilld did both times, or maybe a front choke. I'm kind of leaning towards the front choke, but I'll go with decision. And I want to fix my camera because it's driving me insane. All right, let's see if that works any better. Oh, he 100%. I strongly believe he would. I do think that Kim is very durable. I think both guys seem pretty durable though. But yeah, we're gonna go with Frogman here, and we can move on. Next up, we've got Kaan Ofli versus Yizha. Ofli, he's going to be 12-4-1, 32 years old, 5'7" with a 66-inch reach. Yizha, 26-5-0. He's 29. He's going to be 3 years younger. He's going to be the same height, which I find hard to believe. I think he's going to be taller, and he does have a 5-inch reach advantage. So I'm not super passionate about this fight. I went into it originally thinking that I like Yizha a lot and that he's a solid bet at chalk. And after taping it, it's like, I still don't hate it. If you force me to lay big chalk on somebody on this card, he's probably one of the ones I would rather do, because I just don't think Ofli's that good. But after the tape, I'm also not dying to do it, because Ofli could possibly just out physical his way to a win here. I backed Ofli last time out against Ricardo Ramos. That felt great. But Ramos is a quitter, and I don't think that Yizha is. And then I believe I backed him against Naimov as well. That didn't work out very good. And I definitely backed him against Myron Santos. I've never been a hater of his. I've backed him pretty much every single UFC fight he's had. Not pretty much, I have. I backed him every UFC fight he's had. Maybe I believed in him too much. But like, I think we have a pretty good idea of what Kaan Ofli is now. And it's a guy who, he's a workhorse. He's definitely very physical. He's definitely very strong in the clinch. He's a solid enough wrestler. He's a decent grappler. He's not super dangerous on the ground, but he's solid. Could take the back. Did it against Ramos. Again, Ramos kind of a quitter. And on the feet, he's okay. I think he's a little stiff, and he swings kind of wild, and he is quite hittable. And I don't think he has the best chin, but he seems relatively durable. Myron knocking him out, like the way he did it, I don't think that necessarily means Ofli's chin is bad. So, like, he has his good and his bad, but I think that his takedown defense is pretty poor, and I think he's pretty poor off of his back. And I think Yizha's a good grappler. Now, sometimes he's not very positionally sound, and he can lose position. It happened to him a lot in his second road to UFC run. I think it was this fight, if I remember correctly. My memory may not be serving me, but I think it was this fight. And he can lose position, and he can be out scrambled at times, and he can be taken down in his own right. And I do think the physicality of Ofli, to an extent, can cause him problems. And maybe sometimes in those grappling exchanges, Ofli can maybe take advantage and end up on top. But it's so slim margins for me for Ofli. I'm really not into it. I'm going to stay away, but I think Yizha wins. I don't blame anyone for an Ofli play. I just don't want to do it. I just don't think he's that good. And I think him winning, like I said, is very thin margins. Like a Yizha win is also probably thin margins, but I could see a world where he looks like a pretty big favorite if he just keeps sticking Ofli on his back. Yeah, minus 270 is a bit much, but I don't think there's really. I mean, of course, there's a number where I would get interested in Ofli, but I just rather not. All right. Moving on, we got Jonathan Micallef versus Oban Elliot. Micallef, he's 8-1-0, 26 years old, 6 feet tall at the 77-inch reach. Elliot, 12-3-0, he's 28. He's 2 years older. He's going to be the same height, which I do not believe for a second. And he's at a 5-inch reach disadvantage. So I don't have a super strong read on this one. I didn't tape it yet because I taped it the first time this fight was booked a while ago last year. And I'm not in a rush to tape it because last time I bet Oban and I had serious buyer's remorse. And when that fight got canceled, I was so happy because I really didn't feel confident about the bet at all anymore. So because of that, I'm not rushing to go and retape this one and try to figure out how I feel. Because again, it's pretty much the same line it was last time. And usually these rebooked fights, they always go weird. So I don't really want to get involved. We'll see once I tape it. But right now, off of what I remember from taping it the first time, it's just a weird fight. Like Oban Elliott's a better boxer without a doubt, but like I don't think he's the most impressive guy in the world, and I could see him having problems with Micallef at range if Micallef is just circling, and even if he's just circling and throwing kicks, like I can still see him giving Elliot issues. Elliot's gonna have to close the distance. He's gonna have to box, and he's gonna have to try to be the one to take Micallef down rather than himself getting taken down. I know Micallef didn't really go to it against Szalay, but he is a good grappler. I do like his grappling. He's not like my guy Ko, who beat Elliot last time, but I do think his physicality is going to make a difference. I do think he's stronger in the clinch, and I just like the guy. I just like Micallef. He's an absolute dog in his own right. Like Elliot's also a dog. They both are, but I don't love the vibe I get from Elliot, I guess. So again, I'm pre-tape. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on this one. So for now, I'm just going to go Micallef decision. Maybe I'll change it once I tape it. I don't expect to be involved, but if you want my bets, my notes, my breakdowns, only place to get them is House of Stims Discord. Link in the description of this video. Okay, this fight I did tape. Next up, we have Jacob Malkoun versus Torrez Finney. Malkoun, 8-3-0, 30 years old, 5'9" with a 73-inch reach. Finney on the other side, 11-0. He's 27. He's 3 years younger. He's going to be 1 inch shorter. For once, he's not like 10 inches shorter. And he's actually going to have the reach advantage by 2 inches. So I've always loved me some Finney. I've always rooted for him since his first Dana White's Contender Series fight. I had him on the podcast for an interview. That was a lot of fun. Again, it's doing the blurry thing. I'm going to have to fix that. I had him on for an interview. He was one of my favorite interviews. He's just a guy who's really, really good vibes and just a nice dude. He's just a nice dude in a good space. But it's just a weird fight. Skill for skill, I think Malkoun's a lot better than him. I really do. I think Malkoun's a much better grappler. I think he's a much better wrestler. Not much better, but he's a better wrestler. Finney's a good wrestler, but a lot of it is just his physicality and his strength. And I just think Malkoun's skill for skill, like he is the better grappler overall, the better wrestler, the better chain wrestler, the better scrambler. We don't know what Finney's takedown defense looks like, and it's probably really hard to take him down. But once he's on his back, who knows? He might be terrible off his back. We have no idea. And with this frame, I do lean towards him probably not being great off of his back. And I do think Malkoun's a better striker too. I mean, Malkoun's not Israel Adesanya, but he does have good boxing, and I do think he's a more effective striker. And even just his jab in 1-2 is already enough to beat Finney in a boxing match. Finney is not a good striker whatsoever. He's got a decent jab of his own and big winging shots, but that's it. He's really not a good striker at all. It doesn't fit his frame. He pretty much has to grapple, and the problem with it is he's like a guy who needs to control grapple, but his control is not that good. So he has to chain wrestle, but then he's chain wrestling the whole time. So he's not landing any damage. And it's just like the opponent can't really land any damage. So you can't argue damage versus control. So it's kind of just like a weird fight where nothing at all is happening other than Finney pushing him against the cage and taking him down over and over again because he can't control him. And I can't really see that style working against Malkoun. But here's the big thing. Malkoun's coming off of a really, really big injury, right? So it's been almost 2 years since he last fought, and I don't remember exactly what it was. It was something, I think, in his back or his shoulder, and it pinched the nerve, and he thought there was, I think he said after training or after the fight, he like couldn't walk, and then he couldn't train, and then he was saying that he was considering retirement at the time, and then ultimately he decided not to. And it's like the kind of fight he's going to have to fight here against Finney, he kind of needs his back or whatever it is. Like, he needs all of this. He needs to be healthy, because what Finney is Finney is very strong and very physical and very athletic, and he will try hard. And I could see Malkoun just getting injured and losing that way. I wouldn't be shocked if something like that happened. I don't know if he can come back from the injury he had. If he comes back healthy, I think he should beat Finney. Honestly, I think he can beat Finney pillar to post. I just don't know where Finney's better than him. But and I also think Malkoun's cardio is better, and he can push much more of a pace. Even though Finney hasn't really had a major cardio problem, that's just my read. Is I think if he's the one who has to defend the grappling, he might tire out. So it really comes down to Malkoun being healthy. Because of that, I'm gonna pick Malkoun. I'm gonna assume that he's healthy. That's why he's coming back after 2 years. And if he is, I think he beats Finney. I think he can beat him by decision. I think he can maybe knock him out. Finney doesn't have the best chin, but I can't lay chalk. I can't lay minus 150 on a guy who's been out for 2 years and said that he couldn't walk after training or after a fight and didn't know if he'd fight again. I can't do that. So for me, it's dog or pass. I think there might be some props worth looking at. I'd rather look at them first before I give them out on here. But if I do bet them, they're going to be on the House of Sims Discord. Link in the description of the video, and we can move on. Let me see what the chat says first. Malkoun all day if he's recovered. Drinking nothing's got Finney plus 145. I don't hate it. Malkoun jab heavy, most underrated grappling in middleweight. I agree. He's a very good grappler. Jacob gets straight up when he... Yeah. I had Allen there with a lot of chalk, and I definitely was not comfortable going into that decision. We got my guy K Bands. What's up, my brother? All right, hold on. I got to try something else with this camera. It's driving me nuts. Okay, let's see if this is any better. I recently changed my desk. That's the only thing I changed, and everything's been messed up about my setup since. I haven't been able to fix it perfectly, but for now, this will do. Let's hope I don't go blurry again. And let's move on. Oh, boy. All right. So I'm pre-tape on this one. I'm not going to have a ton on it, but we have Cam Rowston versus Cody Brundage. Cam Rowston, he's going to be 13-3-0, 31 years old, 6'3" with a 75-inch reach. Brundage on the other side, 11-7-1. He's 31 years old as well. Going to be 3 inches shorter, and he's going to have a 3-inch reach disadvantage. So, again, I have not taped this one yet. I'm not running to do it because I am not super high on Cam Rowston, but I'm also not in the business of betting Cody Brundage. I think he's the most ridiculous fighter on the roster. He's not bad at all. He's actually quite skilled, but his fight IQ is terrible. His cardio is questionable. His chin depends on the day, and he's just a guy who you never know what you're going to get. He does have the skills, but he does not have what it takes to put them all together. He's a good wrestler. He's actually a decent boxer, but he can't strike for prolonged periods of time. His defense is very poor. He can't take shots very well. And again, he just falls apart and makes terrible, terrible mistakes. I'll never forget having him against Cedric Dumas at minus 125. And Cody Brundage shoots in for a single leg. I'm like, yes, this is what we need. This is how you're going to win this fight. doing good, Cody. And then what does he do from the single leg position? He somehow ends up in a guillotine. Not his neck. He ends up going for a guillotine. How you go from a single leg to a guillotine, I don't know. But Cody figured out a way. And not only did he figure out a way, but he figured out a way to do it like 4 times. Because after he went that guillotine the first time, I was like, okay, everybody makes a mistake, right? Here he is. He's working his way up. He's working his way up. Good. And then what does he do the second that he's back in on a leg? Again, somehow he's going for a guillotine. And I'm never forgetting that, because how could you possibly ever forget that? And Cam Rowston, so far, haven't had the best read on him. I bet Finney to beat him by decision. That worked out on the Contender Series. And then I didn't touch him in the Holmes fight, this one. And then Petrosky, I did bet on Petrosky, and that sucked. Petrosky looked horrendous, and Rowston just kind of ran through him. I'm not going to waste our time. I think they're bringing Brundage in here to lose. Obviously, they're flying him across the world against the hometown guy. They're trying to build out Cam Rowston, a city kickboxing guy. He's not really the caliber of some of these other dudes coming from that camp, like Izzy, like Oberg. But he's okay. He's solid. He's got the tools. He's probably a better striker than Brundage overall, at least at range, because he's so lanky and tall, and he does use the kicks pretty well. Boxing range, if Brundage closes the distance, he might knock Rowston just straight out. I do think Brundage hits a lot harder. I do think he can knock Rowston out, and if he does close that distance effectively, I do think he can do it, because that chin's going to be way up. He has no choice but to have tall man's defense, because he's really, really tall. So that actually does have my interest now that I'm talking about it. I haven't even talked about this fight yet because I haven't taped it. I don't hate that at all. I don't hate Brundage knockout, but I think Rowston can also knock him out. I think Rowston could finish him in a variety of ways. It's going to be a volatile fight. Brundage will probably run out, do his best in the first round and a half, and then either die trying or finish Rowston. So I'm going to pick Rowston. Rowston KO probably. We'll go KO 1, but you never know with Brundage. You really don't. Let me take a look at these props. I haven't looked at them at all. Under 1.5 is just about pick 'em. Fight ends ITDs minus 600 though. Brundage KO plus 425. I like that. Fight ends by KO, like AJ said. I wonder what that would be. We don't have that yet, but that's interesting. I have to tape this one, but I don't have a lot of interest, guys. I really don't. I don't want to lose my money on this fight. Maybe a sprinkle on Brundage knockout. Green King, what's up, brother? UFC definitely not feeling. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. They know what they're doing. Like, they know why they're sending him there. And it's definitely not to win. Brundage getting bodied per usual. His record is one of a kind, dude. One of a kind. Yeah, I'm done with under 1 after the Lewis Waldo one. Like, I forgot why I hated them, and then of course they do nothing for the first round and a half, and then Waldo knocks him out a minute later, of course. So I'm staying away from under 1.5. They're not my thing. All right, moving on. Another fight that I really couldn't care less about. We have Junior Tafa, 6'4" versus Billy Elekana, 9-2-0. Tafa, he's going to be 29 years old, 6'3" with a 72-inch reach. Elekana, 9-2-0. He's 30. He's 1 year older. He's about the same height, and he's going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. Real quick, I do want to check something. Okay. They always get finished a minute after. Yeah, literally, that's my experience. So I'm done with those for a while. But yeah, this fight is another one that I don't have any interest in. Billy Elekana, a guy who does what he needs to do to win, and he is a winner. I'll give him that. I still don't understand what on earth happened in that Ebo Aslan fight. Neither of them. Like, Elekana does fight like that sometimes, but not most of the time. And Ebo never fights like that. So I don't know what happened there. But he's pretty low volume. He never pulls away. Like, I tried to fade him back in PFL against Campbell, an old man, and I thought Campbell won that fight. But he's a solid striker. He's a little stiff. He's a little slow, but he's decent. He throws straight down the pipe. Has a little bit of power, I guess. He's got solid kicks, and he can grapple decently well. He is a solid grappler. And then on the Tafa side, you have a guy who is a pretty good kickboxer, does hit very hard, does have solid kicks, does have good leg kicks, but his grappling sucks. His grappling really, really sucks. Like, his last fight out, it was this one, Tuco. I think I bet him against Tuco. I was like, dude, like just keep it off the ground. You're such a better striker. And he just can't. He can't help himself. The guy can't grapple, and I don't know what they're doing, why they're not training it. He's 29. He's not an old man, but it feels like an old man because he doesn't get any better. He's just been kind of the same. So I don't have a ton of interest. I think Elekana probably takes him down and grapples him. But if he doesn't, this is a close fight. Like on the feet, I think Tafa's better than him, hits harder than him. He's faster than him. More weapons, throws more output. He's a better striker. He just has to keep it on the feet, and I don't have the confidence that he can do that. So we're going to go with Billy. Billy sub probably. I want to look at what the number is on that, but I don't think it'll be playable. No, I'm not playing plus 175 for a Elekana submission. Got to be Elekana submission all day. Yeah, that Toko's loss was really rough. All right, next up, we have a fight that was put together very recently. We have Quillan Salkilld versus Jamie Mullarkey. Salkilld, he's going to be 10-1-0, 26 years old, 6 foot tall with a 75.5-inch reach. Mullarkey on the other side, he's going to be 18-8-0. He's 31. He's 5 years older. He's going to be the same height, and he's going to have a 1-inch reach disadvantage. I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this fight. Salkilld is like minus 800, and like, of course he's gonna win. He's a way better fighter. I don't see how Mullarkey beats him. I don't think Mullarkey can knock him out. I don't think Mullarkey can win minutes against him. I don't think we would get this. I don't think this line would be anywhere near this wide if he didn't knock Nasrat out. I think it would be a little bit more reasonable, probably like minus 2 something, but minus 900. Like, what am I supposed to do with this? I'm not betting Mullarkey. I'm not betting Salkilld KO at minus 130 when he's historically not a KO guy. If anything, I would rather like a Salkilld sub or maybe even like a Salkilld decision. What is that number? Plus 700. Like, I'd rather stuff like that. Like, Salkilld isn't a big power guy. He never was. He did catch Nasrat really nicely. I was on him there. That felt great. Knocked out my guy Jubli. But like, aside from that, for the most part, he's not a big power hitter. So I know Mullarkey's very chinny, but I don't know if Salkild's knocking him out. Like, I'm gonna lean that way, I guess. KO, maybe round 2, but I wouldn't bet on it. Not at that number. Moving on. I guess I'm going through like this really outside of the road to UFC fights and the main event, like this. And is it the co-main? Yeah, and the co-main. No, it's actually not the co-main. No, the last 3 fights on this card are sick, but some of this card is just not fun. Not that fun. That's true, at least. Risky, and not because of Quillan, but because of Volk. And I'll talk about that one, but I don't know about 10 units on him. All right. We have Tai Tuivasa versus Tallison Teixeira. Tai Tuivasa, look at that record. My God. 14-8-0, 32 years old, 6'2" with a 75-inch reach. On the other side, Teixeira, 8-1-0. He's 26. He's 6 years younger, 5 inches taller, 6'7", and he's got an 83-inch reach. Tai Tuivasa of old, probably take him, but he's not even as aggressive as he used to be in the Rosenstruck fight. Like, maybe it was the movement of Rosenstruck that gave him problems. He's a technical kickboxer, but he just didn't look himself, and he's been doing nothing but losing. And once you start losing like this, I don't know if you ever come back. Like, these are all elite guys. Rosenstruck's fine, but Tybura is fine, but like, these are all really high level guys on top of the division. But he's just a slow, ploddy guy. He throws a lot of power. His hands are actually pretty fast, and his kicks are pretty good for such a massive man. But he's super hittable. His durability is not quite there. He's not as aggressive as he used to be, and his aggressiveness is what made him great. And Teixeira, we don't really still know all that much about him. I think in the UFC, we've only got a minute or something of time of actually watching him. But he is really powerful. He does hit really hard. He does have an insane frame. He is really dangerous in the clinch. He does have really nice clinch knees, and they can come all the way upstairs easily because he's so tall. And he just seems like the more athletic guy. So I think for me, I'm going to go with Teixeira. Am I going to bet on him? No, I don't want to do that. Tai probably could knock him out. If Derek could, why can't Tai? But for me personally, I think Teixeira is going to be the one to get the KO here. Tie KO is cheeky. What's the number? Plus 320. What's his money line? I mean, you might as well take the money line at that point. Plus 300 on Bet Online. But yeah, I get what you mean. If he wins by knockout. All right, let's move on. Now, this is a fight. We got Rafael Fiziev versus Mauricio Hufi. Fiziev, he's 13-4-0, 32 years old, 5'8" with a 71-inch reach. Hufi, 12-2-0. He's 29. He's 3 years younger, 3 inches taller. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage. So really, really sick fight. Probably one of the best fights on the card, if not the best fight on the card. And it's just sick. It's two strikers, two pure strikers who do not really grapple. Fiziev has been mixing in the wrestling lately. And I do wonder if part of that is because he doesn't feel like he can take the shots as well these days. I do wonder if that's part of it. I'm getting blurry again, and it's pissing me off, but I'll figure that out on my own time. So I do wonder if he's grappling more because he maybe doesn't feel as comfortable taking the shots, or if he just thinks it's a good part of his game to mix in. That would make reasonable sense too. But for me here, I taped this one a lot, and I was thinking about it a lot, and I personally have to go with Hufi. I do think he's going to get it done, and it just really comes down to, okay, it's a striking fight. Who do I rather have? I'd probably rather have the younger guy who's absorbed less damages in his career, been in less wars, who I believe is probably more athletic, probably faster, and also hits really, really hard. Probably hit pound for pound. He probably hits harder than Fiziev. I don't think Fiziev's the biggest power puncher. It's just the way he sets up his shots. He can put you out. I don't think he's got as much power as Hufi does. So just for those reasons, I feel like a slight favor for price tag on Hufi is fine. I think even up to like 60%, it's probably okay, honestly. I wouldn't bet it at that point, but I would be okay with that line. Just because of what I said, just youth. I think he has more durability right at this point of his career. He hasn't had to deal with those really bad injuries that Fiziev did after, I believe it was the Gamrot fight. Just that for me is enough to get there. And I also think that Fiziev might struggle with the range a little bit of Hufi. I think that Hufi's a trickier striker than somebody like Bahamondes. I know Bahamondes had a lot of size on Fiziev too, but I do think that Hufi's going to be trickier for him to handle, better with the kicks, better at closing the range and then getting out. I think his defense is very, very good. And I think that Fiziev, to have prolonged success, he's going to have to continuously crash the pocket and do what he does. Go to the body nasty, then come upstairs, land his nice combinations. His hand speed is probably quicker than Hufi. I think Hufi overall is faster, like the kicks. But Fiziev's going to have to get into the pocket and get into boxing range a lot. And I don't think it's going to be easy against Hufi. So already there, I'm leaning his way. And then it's like, okay, can Fiziev maybe mix in the wrestling like he did against Bahamondes? And it's like, maybe he can, but he didn't get a ton of control time on Bahamondes. And I think Bahamondes is a little bit more willing to play off his back. I don't see Hufi doing that. Against Benoit Saint-Denis, Hufi worked pretty hard to get back onto his feet, and he did it pretty well. And there were a couple situations where he ended up on top, and I had money on BSD, and I was like, if Hufi starts throwing ground and pound, he can just finish him right here. And then he was dumb and let him up. So that could be a concern, fight IQ. But outside of that, I do like him stylistically against Fiziev. I think it's a good matchup for Hufi. I think they know what they're doing here. And what I really like about him here is that he came to Australia early, and he's been training with like Izzy. He's been training with that camp. He's been with them. I think they were at Bang Tao first, and I believe now he's been in Australia for a little bit, for at least a couple of weeks. But I think it's been longer than that. And I think that's really important to get there, get acclimated. And I like that he's taking it serious. He has not left Fight Nerds. Turns out that's fake news. But I do like how he's been handling this camp, and I do really like that he's over there already, and he's ready to go. So for me, it's a great fight. I think it's going to be a close fight, but I'd rather be on the side of the younger, the bigger guy, who I think is going to have a little bit more success overall on the feet because he's going to be better at range. And I do think he's had more success with his kicks, and I think the movement's going to be a big thing. So for me, we're going with Hufi by decision, but I could see them both knocking each other out, honestly. It's going to be a really good fight. Really good fight. What's Hufi by decision? Interesting. All right. Let's move on. That's good, my guy Dravi. Make sure you guys watch Dravi's show, Beat the Line broadcast. They went live yesterday, and I did give them a listen, so make sure you check them out. One of the funniest shows on YouTube because of Pegasus, and they're sharp over there too. But moving on, we've got Dan Hooker versus Benoit Saint-Denis for the co-main event. Hooker, he's 24, 13-0, 35 years old, 6 feet tall with a 75.5-inch reach. BSD 16-3-0. He's 30. He's going to be 5 years younger, going to be 1 inch shorter, and he's going to have a 2.5-inch reach disadvantage. Full disclosure, I haven't gotten to this one yet on the tape. Going to break it down off of memory, but I have not taped it yet. I think BSD probably cooks Hooker. I think that generally Hooker is not great against grapplers. I will say he sure looked fine against Gamrot. But the thing with Gamrot is Gamrot's just a chain wrestler with no control. That's just the thing we all know about Gamrot. Gamrot is a really good wrestler. He's an elite chain wrestler. But he can't really control guys, and he can't really get a game going. Whereas BSD, his control is also not that good, if I'm being completely real. If he doesn't take the back and doesn't fall off the back, his control isn't really all that great either. But he does seem a bit more likely to finish not a bit. He seems a lot more likely to finish the fight on the ground than Gamrot does. So because of that, I am leaning towards the BSD side. But like, Hooker's a dog. Hooker's an absolute dog, and I don't think that BSD is as good as Armin is, and I don't think that his control is as good. I think Armin's wrestling is second to none in the division. Now that Islam's gone, I think it's second to none. And once Armin takes you down, like, it's rare that people really get back up. And whereas that's not really the case with BSD, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do it what Sarukian did. So for me, I'm kind of thinking like, if BSD's taking him down, but then Hooker's scrambling it up, like BSD, first of all, doesn't have great cardio. I'm pretty certain about that at this point. He's extremely, extremely hittable on the feet. Really wild striker, and he's not the most technical striker. It's just mostly just big winging hooks and huge head kicks that he winds up really hard. So can he just take down Hooker and submit him? Probably. Can he take down Hooker and just grind him out? Maybe even positional TKO? Probably. But would I be shocked if Hooker got the upset here at home against the guy who is a defensive liability? No, I wouldn't be shocked at all. Like, BSD is 100% a defensive liability, and I do think that Hooker can take a shot better than him. So, yeah, pre-tape, I'll go BSD. We'll go sub. Maybe, I think he has to do it in round 1 or it's going to get really greasy for him personally. But I guess we'll stick with that for now. But I do think that Hooker can, I think this is a dogger pass personally. I'm going to look at it more. Of course, I'm not more. I'm going to look at it. I got to tape it. So maybe my opinion will change, but pre-tape, I'm dogger pass. I want to see what the props look like. BSD sub, of course, it's going to be favored, won't it? No, it's not, huh? Plus 165. I guess they're giving some equity to KO. Interesting numbers, actually. Hooker KO plus 550 across the board. Can't say I'm too surprised. Let's see what we got in the chat. Hooker getting dog walked. Took a shot on the under 1.5. I like that Green King, I think, but I suck at unders. How boring is Umar? Hooker said Armin hurt his nose at the face off with that headbutt. He probably did. Like, noses are pretty sensitive. I've broken mine, but like, was it really making a difference? Like, he didn't lose because he got tired, you know? He lost because Armin just is a different class of grappler than Hooker is, and he just had no answer. So I believe him, honestly. I just don't know that it made much of a difference. BSD all day, man. He's on a solid run, and Hooker doesn't care that much. And these days, Gamrot was good enough. Nah, I think he still cares, honestly. I mean, it wasn't long ago he was on a 3-fight win streak of his own. And if I'm being completely honest, like, who has the better win streak out of these three? I mean, out of these two, like, probably Hooker. Like, this one's not impressive, but then Turner's a good win. This is before Turner kind of fell apart. And Gamrot's a good win. And Prepelec, Hoofy's a good win. And Darius is just ancient. That was an electric knockout. I was there live. That was awesome to see. But Yeah, I mean, Saint-Denis definitely has the momentum, definitely has the youth, definitely has the grappling upside. I'm just saying, for me personally, pre-tape, it's dog or pass. I'll likely not end up on a side or on anything, but that's just what I'm thinking pre-tape. This fight, I really taped and I really looked into it, and I took extensive notes on their last rematch. So let's talk about it. We've got Alexander Volkanovski versus Diego Lopes 2. Volkanovski 27-4-0, 37 years old, 5'8" with a 71.5-inch reach. On the other side, Lopes 27-7-0, 31. He's 6 years younger, going to be 5 inches taller, and he's gonna have a 1-inch reach advantage. So we all saw the first fight, and realistically, nothing's changed, right? It's been 9 months. Volk has not fought since. Diego fought one time. Dog walked Gene Silva in the first round, destroyed him. And in the second round was starting to lose and did not look great, was on his back foot, was taking a lot of shots from Silva. And when Silva started to string things together, Diego didn't seem like he had much of an answer. And then Silva gets overexcited and gets knocked out by Diego. And it was a beautiful knockout. All the credit to him. But I just don't think anything's really changed, right? Does anything have to change for him to win? No. Honestly, no. After watching the first fight, like, this is a winnable fight for Lopes. It's just like, my problem with backing him is that after watching his first fight, I do not think he can win minutes against Volk. I don't know if 9 months was enough for him to figure out how to deal with the movement. And I think the movement and the jab of Volk is what gave him the problems, because he just could not find him. Diego, he wasn't throwing a lot. And you can say it was for a lot of reasons. You could say cardio conservation. You can say that he was just off that day. You can say a lot of things. I think he genuinely could not get a read on where Volk was, because he did swing. He swung plenty. He threw a lot of strikes. Let me see what the numbers were. It's just he missed. He missed like a lot of them. Yeah, he threw 194 significant strikes. He only landed 63, 32%, right? So he just could not get to Volk effectively. He did a few times, right? I'll go round by round. I don't have my notes in front of me. I don't do that, but I'll try to go off what I remember. So the first round, relatively not close, but like slow start in the beginning. But you just see Volk with the feints he started to use them early, and those started to pay off late. The jab he used from the very beginning, and that was working very, very effectively. The hand fighting was on point, and he just did more. Most of it was the jab and the leg kicks, but he would also throw big hooks. And what I didn't love about Volk in that fight was sometimes he'd be down to just plant feet and just swing hooks with Diego, which is exactly what Diego needs to win the fight. Volk didn't seem that scared to do it, even after he got dropped, which was interesting. But he still found success there, right? It wasn't just the jab. Volk landed plenty of big shots of his own. So that first round, clear Volk. Second round, I thought Volk was winning every single minute of that round until he got dropped. There were moments in every round for Lopes where he was able to finally find Volk and land a few big shots. And the reaction from Volk, of course, was a lot bigger than the reaction that Volk got out of Diego when he hit him. Diego clearly hits harder out of the two of them, and he's clearly more durable and more capable of taking a shot. It's just he literally could not find Volk. When he did find him, finally in the second round, he dropped him late. But because it was so last second, for me, it was enough to sway the round. And I did give on rewatch, I gave that round to Diego in my write-up. But you can really argue it either way. I think you could argue that, Volk also caused some pretty good damage in that second round. And he landed some really big shots of his own in that second round. The only reason anybody's even talking about giving that round to Diego is because he dropped Volk. But Volk also popped right back up, right? So how much damage did that really do? If we're talking damage versus, not control, but you know what I mean? Damage first criteria. But just for the sake of not arguing the little things, I did give Diego that round. So 1-1 after 2. Round 3, again, clear Volk. Round 4, I ended up giving it to Diego also only because there were a few moments where he finally did start to land a bit more, and it just seemed more effective than Volk, so I gave him the 4th. But then the 5th, you see Diego really frustrated. He came out, he really wanted to finish because I think his corner probably told him, like, hey, I think we're probably down. I had it 2-2 going into the 5th on rewatch, but it could have easily been 3-1, easily. So you see Diego come out there frustrated, and you see him towards the end of that round when he's not able to get to Volk. He just can't get to him. When he does get to him, even when he lands, it's not flush, right? The only times he landed flush were in 2 when he knocked him down, and in 4 in that little flurry that he had. It was about like a minute or a minute and a half of success. So he's just really, really dependent on winning the moments. And I think he can do it. I think he can win the moments, or he can knock out Volk. So I can understand the underdog play for sure. But for me, I just feel like it's more likely that Volk goes ahead and does something very similar. Maybe he mixes up the game plan. We saw him fight Max 3 times, and every single time it was a different performance. Maybe he switches it up a little bit. Probably should. But I just think he's going to get it done again. And I also do wonder, like, one thing I did find impressive with Lopes is he stuffed, I think, 10 of 11 takedowns from Volk. And I never really had him as a guy with great takedown defense. I always kind of thought you can beat Diego if you can just take him down and control him. I don't know how much Volk really committed to those takedowns. That's the one thing. It's like, I am curious of how it would have looked if he tried harder to take him down. But I just think Volk didn't really feel like he needed to. I think he mixed in those takedowns to give Diego things to think about. But I don't think that he was committing to them really hard. And I did also really like that whenever he would, he'd go for the takedown, he wouldn't get it, and then knee off the break, knee off the break, knee off the break. Diego will probably be smart about that now and see it coming, but still a great thing to do. And maybe Volk will change it up. Maybe instead of a knee off the break, he'll throw an elbow, something like that. I'm not sure. But ultimately for me, like, Volk is just so good, man. I think he's so good. Like, skill for skill, I think he's the much, much better fighter. He's the much more complete fighter. And he's incredible. He's one of the best to ever do it. Forget the weight class, forget featherweight, GOAT. I think he's one of the best to ever do it. The fact that he came back and even got his title back against Diego, a fresh, hungry dude, that was enough in its own right. And now he's still going. And the way he performed in that fight, I thought was just really, really impressive. So for me, I'm sticking with Volk. If this is Diego's time, so be it. I respect him a lot. I used to not like Diego, but I do like him now. And I think he can win. I know a lot of people on him. I understand it 100%. It's just for the reasons I said, I don't want to bet on him. I think that, like, you'll hear from a lot of people that Volk's win was thin margins. And to an extent, I agree. I had it 3-2. And Diego is always just a few moments away from stealing around. But it feels like Lopes is also thin margins to me. What does Lopes running away with the fight over 25 minutes look like? I don't know if it looks like anything. I think the only way Lopes wins easy is a knockout, like an early knockout. Whereas Volk, like, I wouldn't call it easy. Diego's no slouch, but I think he just has a more comfortable way of winning this fight. And I think he has more than one way, whereas Diego, I think it's pretty limited to catching Volk, either knocking him out or catching him enough to steal the moments and win the round. So that's what I'm thinking. Let's catch up with the chat, and then we're going to head on out of here. AJ saying Volk decision plus 170. I like it as well. Diego hit him with the kitchen sink and still couldn't. Hey, I don't want to come out here and pretend he can't do it. He could do it. Volk did pop up really quickly, but there were moments where he wasn't reacting to those shots super well, and that's just more damage that Volk has now taken throughout his career, and now he has to do it again. And he's probably not finishing Diego, so he has to do it again, and he has to do it again for 25 minutes. So I understand why people like Diego. It does make sense to an extent. Volk tagged him with massive shots. He did. Even if Lopes had 1 minute after dropping Volk, I don't think he capitalizes. Yeah, I mean, Volk popped up really quickly. What is the chance Volk's retiring? Last dance stats are abysmal. It's a bad mindset. Well, he's already one ahead of all the other guys who pull retirement stunts because he hasn't said anything, at least as far as I know. From what I remember, I think he still wanted to fight guys like Mofsar and Lerone Murphy, but I don't know. But he's personally not a guy I'm super worried about. Like, if he's retiring after this fight, like, I'm not super worried about him coming in and not caring as much or having one foot out the door. He probably, like, you'd have a much stronger case for saying that going into the first Lopes fight, where he was coming off 2 losses. two knockout losses. He already lost his opportunity to be double champ. He lost his featherweight belt. He already had a lot of money, businesses. He didn't need to come back and get the title, but he did come back and get the title. And got the title. So he's not somebody that I'd be super worried about this narrative with. Volk's just going to have a more patient approach. I agree. Yeah, for the most part, I agree. Appreciate you drinking no things. All right, guys, that's it. I'll run through the picks one more time. We got 78 of you in the chat. Please like, subscribe, comment, retweet, follow, whatever it is, whatever platform, any of it really helps. You guys make the channel. Appreciate all of you. We're going Batbayar, Sulangrangbo, my goat, Sebastian, slight lean, Frogman all day, Kim, Yizha. I haven't taped it yet, but Micallef for now. Malkoun, Rowston, Tafa, Elekana, but I haven't taped that one yet. Salkilld, Teixeira, Hoofy, BSD, still got a tape, and Volk. That's where I'm at. Peace out, guys. Good luck this weekend.